everyone, and welcome back to my channel. Today I will be telling you all about my pregnancy and labor and delivery, like my experience being pregnant and how my labor went and delivery. And this idea stemmed from a girl DMing me. I'm not gonna mention her name because I didn't ask her, and I decided to film this impulsively because I was gonna film it later in the day, but I just tried to take a nap. Liam's taking a nap and I just couldn't go to sleep, so here I am recording. But she basically asked me stuff about my labor and delivery. She basically asked me questions to prepare herself for labor and delivery, and she's scared. So with my pregnancy, I actually was dancing. I used to dance, if you don't know that about me. I used to dance, and I danced for about 8 weeks into my pregnancy. So I was 8 weeks, and I went to nationals with my dance company or dance studio. I danced a little bit. After that, probably I was still able to do all my flipping stuff, but actually at nationals I told my dance teacher that I couldn't do I can't remember if it was a front walkover or some type of trick, because my abdominal muscles couldn't do that anymore. They had stretched out by that point. They didn't know that I was pregnant either, so, but I think they had started to realize some things were a little off about me. But I danced and everything was fine, and honestly Liam held on very well through the pregnancy. I had drank a little bit very early on in my pregnancy. Probably I was 3 weeks at prom, which you can imagine, it's prom. It was after prom. I was safe, don't worry, and I didn't know I was pregnant yet. And so I was very shocked that Liam stayed in me. That's just how I say that. I never had any problems with my pregnancy at all towards the end when Liam got lower down in the birth canal. I had this thing called lightning crotch. That's seriously what it's called. I can't even remember, but it hurt to walk sometimes. That was about it. I was in my second trimester. I can't remember how many weeks I was. I don't think I knew the gender yet, but I was past 12 weeks. I passed out at work when I was working at Culver's. It was very hot that day. It was like 90 degrees that day. It was in August 2016, and I was working the drive-thru with one of my coworkers, and I had told her one time before that I didn't feel well and I needed to sit down, and we are not allowed to wear shorts or anything, so I was wearing khaki pants and a t-shirt, and by then they had known I was pregnant. I never got special treatment until the very last few weeks of my pregnancy at work. I had really bad foot pain, and so I would do drive-thru and I would take the orders so that way I wouldn't have to lean out the window because my belly got in the way, and some people would park really far away. So I would sit on a stool whenever I could, and I got insoles to put in my shoes that helped. Besides that, I went and sat in the freezer for a minute and just kind of cooled down. I would do that actually a lot. I would go stand in the freezer, and it helped, and I came back out, and then I got really hot again. I sat down at this stool where the little break area is. There's 2 stools. It's not very big, but there were 2 stools. Was sitting there, and the next thing I know, my coworkers were trying to sit me up in a chair. So what had happened is I had fallen off the stool backwards, and I hit the back of my head, and then I threw up all over myself. So I passed out, and I had vomit all over myself and everywhere. And they had called Cameron. My mom was out of town, and they called Cameron, and Cameron came to pick me up, and he took me home. We didn't plan on taking me to the ER unless I threw up again, and I'm pretty sure I did throw up again. I can't really remember every detail. It's almost been 2 years ago. So I went back to the ER, and I just wanted to know that the baby was okay because I was pregnant and I passed out, so that's very concerning, of course, and to just be overheated like that. So I just was severely dehydrated, and from then on out, I drank water all the time during my shifts. And I didn't work as long of shifts, but that was fine. I started going to school at that time, so it was a lot for me, but I was fine. And like I said, towards the end of my pregnancy, They were very adaptable to what I needed, and they were great. And then I quit in December, a month before Liam came. Besides that, I never had any problems with my pregnancy. I think it helps that I was still active. I was like walking a lot, and before I was pregnant, I was pretty healthy. That's why I think that being young and pregnant isn't always bad, because you're healthier and you are more able to carry a child and not have any problems. But that's not to say that 30-year-olds can't do that too. That's not what I'm saying. My labor and delivery started on June 22nd. You'd think that I'd know when my child was born, but that is so wrong. I started labor on January 23rd. I don't know what. I went to one of my last OBGYN appointments. I went in and I was 40 weeks in one day, I think. It was a Monday, and I went in and I had been thinking about being induced for a few days because I think we talked about it at my last one. And so my doctor comes in and is like, okay, you either just have to wait for it to happen, or we induce you with a Foley bulb, which I'll get into that, and then just see what happens from there, because I think I was dilated 2 centimeters, and I don't know how effaced I was or anything like that, but I wasn't really progressing or anything, and I was just having Braxton Hicks that I didn't feel. Like, my stomach would just get really hard, and I didn't feel any of that. My mom and Cameron were there, and we all talked about it, and I was like, I think that's what my body needs. It's just that push. I think I'll be fine. I had been very scared in the beginning of being induced, because there is a risk after 24 hours that you could have a C-section. Honestly, I was just like, whatever, to get this baby out of me. I was huge. I'll put a picture in here. And I never had any swelling or anything, guys. Like, I always drank my water. I had a pretty healthy diet. I would take my lunch to school and everything. I never had any swelling or anything, which really helped me when it came to the laboring process. So at about 5, I was admitted into the hospital, and they inserted the Foley bulb, which basically you can look that up yourself if you want to know more, but they insert it into my uterus. If anything's different, I'll put it down below. But they insert it into your uterus, and it is a bulb, so it's just supposed to help you dilate more, and then it falls out on its own. So 12 hours later, we stayed one night. At 6 a.m., they took that out and they broke my water, and that's when everything started. But before all this, I didn't have any pain at all. But when they broke my water, that's when the laboring process started, and that's when it started to hurt. And getting the Foley bulb inserted was very uncomfortable. I didn't have any medicine, like I wasn't numb or any medications to help me get that inserted. But I think I had a catheter or two. But besides that, no pain yet until they did break my water. And the thing I forgot to mention is I don't want this to be sugar-coated at all. Labor and delivery does hurt, and it's what a woman's body is supposed to do. The basic thing is to know that there is something good coming out of your pain, so just keep that in mind. And that's when everything started, and then I think they kicked up Pitocin as well, and then I started to dilate. So I think at about 10 or 11, or maybe it was 9 that I requested the epidural, but at 10 I'm pretty sure I got it, and we did all that. And with the epidural, you get a numbing shot first, and then you get the epidural. And before I went into labor, I knew I wanted to have an epidural. My pain tolerance sucks, so I knew that I was going to do that. I wanted to have an enjoyable labor and delivery, and I didn't want to remember it as being very painful. I know that some moms want to be pain-free and want to have it naturally, and I am all for that. Kudos to you for even being able to do that. I could not, so that's great, and I wish I could. Also, I think people don't choose the epidural because it can put your baby at risk as well. They did the numbing shot, and then I honestly couldn't feel the epidural being put in my back besides the string feeling of whatever that was. I can't figure out any more information besides that it just what it does. But some people don't want epidurals because of the risk that it has for babies, so it's honestly all up to you. I knew I wanted one. That was also really hard because you are basically, they put a pillow on you and you're like this, like you're supposed to arch your back, and you have a huge belly too. That was very interesting. And Cameron watched the whole thing. He said that the needle is huge, but you don't see it, so don't worry. Everything's fine. If you are scared about the epidural, it's really not that scary. You have a numbing shot, and then I didn't think it was that bad. But they have videos out there with people getting them, and that's what scares people. After that, I was able to take a nap for 2 hours, and that was great. And then when I woke up, Liam's head was sticking out. You could see his hair and everything. So one, I started to push, and I had him at 1:22 p.m. and he was born 9 pounds 9 ounces. Yes, very big. I don't remember what degree of tear that I had, but I think after labor and delivery is the worst part because you're recovering, and I can't imagine recovering from a C-section either because I know that takes a little longer, but I had him vaginally. Honestly, that was hard. I remember trying to poop for the first time, and I was really scared about that. But you just have to take your sitz baths, which is this thing they send home from the hospital to you or with you, and you put it in the toilet seat, and you take warm water, and you have the squirt bottle, and you just clean your stitches off so that they don't get infected. And I also had hemorrhoids, and I still have the stuff in the bathroom. I had a dermaplast, and then I had hemorrhoid pads. I did that like clockwork, and then even with my meds that I got for pain, I made a chart, so I made sure to take them. So you really need to focus on taking care of yourself as well as your baby, but you are important too, so that's important to remember. Another tip that I have is to take a labor and delivery class or birthing class. My hospital here offered that, and I don't remember how much it was, but it was worth it. I learned more about birth that I never knew, and so did Cameron, so that was really helpful to us. I really encourage new moms or soon-to-be moms or parents to take a child care birth class. It really helped me, and they give you information as well, just more information on what happens during labor, especially with your body. I thought that was really cool. And I did breastfeed Liam for 12 months. 1 month was exclusively pumping. I think that's a whole nother story in itself that I could expand on. Yeah, right after I had Liam, latched on very well. I never had any problems. I remember when I got home, just had bad reflux for about a month until I discovered that. And I went to his pediatrician, and just made sure that his latch was good and everything. And that all worked out. I'm just really proud of myself for that accomplishment. Sometimes I did want to use formula. I can't believe I did it sometimes, because I think I am going to make another video on breastfeeding, but basically what happened is during the 11th month of his life and trying to breastfeed him, I got sick and I was put on an antibiotic. And when you're put on an antibiotic and you're breastfeeding, you have to take a probiotic, and so does your baby, so that there isn't a risk of, I'll put it in here somewhere. I think that it changes the smell of your breast milk or the taste or something, and Liam did not want the boob anymore, but he still wanted my breast milk. When I did pump, you can just see where that's going. So I basically pumped for a whole month, and then he was done, and then I transitioned him to soy milk and now nut milk, and that's how that worked. So he basically weaned himself, and for the longest time I was so worried about how I was gonna get him to not use the boob anymore. I really hope that I cleared some stuff up, some misconceptions about how scary birth is and everything. Honestly, just enjoy every moment. I miss it every day. I honestly have baby fever right now, but I promise you all I'm not having another baby until I'm done with school. Yeah, looking at that message, I think I've covered everything. Like I said, just remember to take care of yourself during pregnancy and after pregnancy, that first month or few weeks. So you are just as important as your baby, and please don't forget that. That's important for having postpartum depression as well. I struggle with that a little bit, trying to adapt to everything, but as of right now I'm fine. Everything has worked out, and I am very happy with how everything is going right now. So thank you all for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye.